Hello, once again, Mars Licciardi with MarsGuitar.com, and today we're going to talk about tone. Oh no, tone. Tone is so complicated. Tone is awesome. Guitar tone is the coolest thing that we all think is the coolest thing. But tone, from my understanding and from my experience, is in your hands. You can have all the most expensive gear in the world. I've played through expensive amps that are thousands and thousands of dollars. And, of course I have a Suhr here, right here, which is an expensive guitar. But at the end of the day, I still sound like me playing on a Squier. The reality of the situation is tone is in your hands. And I would safely say that it's probably 60% of your sound is in your hands, or maybe even 75% of the sound is in your hands. Of course, when you're a professional musician or you're a guitar player that wants great gear and you want great tone, it's important to buy excellent gear. I'm not disregarding the importance of having great equipment. I mean, I have good equipment when I play live. Of course, I have good gear. But it's more important to understand that the sound that you're looking for is in your hands. So what I feel a lot of times is to really study yourself, learn from yourself, watch your hands, watch what you do. We don't really talk a lot about that, but I think it's important to kind of watch when you play. Watch what your hands look like when you play. That's super important as a guitar player, to watch your hands to look like when they're playing, because if you keep a consistency with how they look when you're playing a certain chord, that can help intonate a chord, that can help intonate a solo, it can help all those wonderful things to help build your tone. So not disregarding, of course, because we all love tone. I love pickups. I love amps. I love all these great things, and I've had, great things in my past with, I've had every style of amp. I've had Voxes and Fenders and Marshalls and I've had great gear through the years. So I'm not disregarding how awesome tone is as a guitar player. It's such an inspiring thing. We inspire ourselves through our tone. Okay. But you can easily just enough inspire yourself through not the best equipment. For how many times have we seen somebody play, and they weren't very inspired, and they had a ton of great gear, but they just weren't very inspired. So it's important to understand that the inspiration you get is in your hands, and it's in your feel, it's in your emotion, it's in your own mojo. But having great gear, I'm not taking anything away from having great gear. It's wonderful. It's great to have great guitars and great amps and great tube amps. And when you're in the studio, having, great engineers and great microphones, those things all benefit. I'm not ever disregarding those things, but we get so caught in as guitar players with pedals and electronics and that big new thing that's out. And we forget to realize that it's important to understand that when you're playing something, when you're playing an amp or you're playing guitar, it's just you as an expression of yourself through that piece of equipment. For instance, I've been teaching for a long time. I can grab one of my students' Squiers, play on a Squier or a cheaper guitar or an Epiphone, for instance. I still sound like me at the end of the day playing on one of the cheaper guitars. It's $200 or $300. I don't sound as good as I want to sound because I know there's limitations with those guitars that I hear, from having, all the great stuff for the years. But at the end of the day, the importance of tone and the ability to have the sound, the tone in your hands is exponentially important, even more important than having gear. When we were kids, I'll give you a great example. When we were kids and we couldn't afford, really expensive guitars, we'd buy a cheaper guitar for maybe $500 to $700 or maybe $400. And what we do, and this is, growing up in the 90s, was we'd buy better pickups. So we'd have a cheaper guitar, we'd buy better pickups, we'd buy a good amp like a Marshall. So back then, a Marshall half stack would cost about $800. Now they're, astronomically more expensive. But so you'd have a Marshall, you'd have a cheaper guitar that you would modify and put a better pickup in there. And that got us to where we needed to go. And I look back and I'm like, wow, I got some really great guitar tones on some of those records that I did back when I was a kid. And of course, part of it, like I said, number one, your hands. But if you are a young budding guitar player and there's a budget issue, you don't have the money to buy a Suhr or something really, really nice. If you feel that you're lacking something, it's good just to go buy some really good pickups and put it in one of your entry level or mediocre, guitars, and it can get you where you need to go till you ultimately get some, more dough and you can buy yourself something more expensive. But anyway, I just wanted to share that idea and that story with you. I thought it was very important as a guitar player to talk about tonality in your hands, and knowing that these right here are the most important thing that you got in your arsenal. And it's important to realize that they are your sound. They are your tone. They are the antithesis. They are the foundation of what you're trying to create. Once again, my name is Mars Licciardi with MarsGuitar.com. Please hit the notification. Please subscribe. It's a new channel to start out. And have a great day. Bye-bye.